Welcome to Mature Allure, where we highlight the experiences and perspectives of women in midlife, as well as focus on topics we all can relate to help us look forward to aging and not fear it. Today, I'm excited to welcome Ilene Block from the Silver and Strong podcast. Hi, Ilene. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So tell us about Silver and Strong. I saw the promo for it and I was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. Tell us about it.
Well, it came out of my own fitness journey. I will be 65 in May. And I spent from my 20s until 60 yo-yo dieting. I was that typical woman. I was a working mother. I realized I was always in a rush. I was always looking for a quick fix. And so you name it, I tried every diet that was out there. I was pretty active in terms of exercising, but I was that typical, I'd lose weight and then I'd go off that program. I'd gain weight, the weight back. And as I approached my 60th birthday, I thought, all right, I might be a slow learner, but sooner or later I get it, right? Insanity, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So I gave myself the gift on my 60th birthday of saying, I'm not going to diet for the entire year. I'm just not. I'm taking a break. I'm going to just be, which I did. And I think I may have gained like 20 pounds, which was fine. And my 61st birthday was coming and I started thinking about, okay, it's time to make a change. What kind of change are you going to make? And I had an Instagram account, mostly to post pictures of my kids and my dogs. And out of the blue, this post showed up of this older woman who in this before picture and this after picture. And I will never forget it. Her name is Jo McDonald. She was 70 in the before picture and I think about 74 in the after. And I read the little blurb about the changes she chose to make in her life at that time. And I remember thinking to myself very distinctly, well, geez, she's 70. You have no excuse. And so I signed up for this program with the Wonder Women. And I will tell you, it taught me things I had never heard about before. I had never heard about macronutrition. I knew all about calories, but I didn't understand the difference of feeding your body to support its choices versus, to me, eating as few calories as I could to survive. So I went through this transformation program and I learned the importance of mindset, of the things we say to ourselves we don't necessarily even know. Me looking at something and going, oh, I can't do that without even trying. And I was a pretty accomplished woman. I was I just retired in February, a very successful corporate attorney. I feel like I did a decent job raising two responsible young men. I just had my 40th wedding anniversary, but this was an area where I always struggled. And so I made a lot of changes and I learned to think differently about aging, about how age is not an excuse to not do something. As I said, I'll be 65. I'm the strongest and the healthiest I've ever been. So through that process, I thought about what a gift I had been given to learn about. I weight trained before, but heavy weight training and combining it with the macros and the mindset work. And out of that is where Silver and Strong Fitness came. I so wanted the opportunity to share that with other women, to say, you're not too old. It's not too late. Joan started at 70. You can start at whatever age you are. And so I retired from a 40-year legal career in February. I had started Silver and Strong mostly as a newsletter and the like prior to that, and decided I'm going to get my necessary certifications and I want to coach other women. And so I started that in February. I have my first group. All of these women are 56 to 66. And it's not that I didn't enjoy aspects of being a corporate lawyer, but I will tell you, this this new adventure has been really one of the most rewarding of my life. And the last thing I will add, the reason I hadn't planned on starting a podcast, but I went looking for a podcast that focused on postmenopausal women, and I couldn't find anything out there. I mean, fortunately, there's a lot more now talking about menopause. When I was in perimenopause, I thought I had early onset Alzheimer's. It was 18 years ago. There were, oh man, I used to think, I felt like I was thinking through tapioca. And so I'm thrilled that there's so much more conversation around menopause now. But I will tell you, it's like you make it through menopause and you kind of disappear. It's like there's very little out there in social media about the wonderful things that can come after menopause. So that all of that together is kind of where Silver and Strong came from. And that's kind of my mission, to talk to women 50 plus for the most part, to say, not too late. You can be the strongest and healthiest you've ever been. And as I think you're talking about, looking at it as pro-aging, it's not anti-aging. It's what are the great things you can do and how can you live your most vibrant and joyful life as you continue to age.
Exactly. Well, because I want to talk about two things here. Silver and Strong, obviously, and the workout, the mindset, all of that. And I also want to talk about Silver and Strong, the business, the podcast, how you decided to do that as a mature woman. So first, we'll start with, you mentioned mindset. That I think might be one of the hardest things, is changing your mindset. Because I struggle with that. I'm like, oh no, not that I'm too old to do something, just that, well, no, I won't say that. I had a gym membership like a year ago. I went to the gym and I was like, okay, I'm like one of the oldest women in here, but again, it was probably the time I went. But just changing that mindset. How do you say to yourself, I can do this and I'm going to do this? What's the process?
I think part of it, my coach said this to me, and I remember thinking, all right, part of it's fake it till you make it. I remember she said to me, you are an athlete. And I was like, oh, no. So I'm married to an Ironman triathlete and an ultra athlete. He just did a 3-day Ironman race and he's 63. And so I used to look at it and say, oh, well, he's an athlete. I just work out. And Annie said to me, no, an athlete is your mindset. If you identify as an athlete, you identify as an athlete if you've decided that you're going to put habits in place that support that lifestyle, meaning you're going to take time to think about what you eat, and you're going to make it a priority to work out, and you're going to make it a priority to get sleep. Those are the things that make you an athlete. And when you think about things that define you, so for example, if you think about, I'm a great mom, or I'm a great partner, and things that support that identity, when there's a time crunch, you get those things done anyway because they identify who you are. That was an aha moment for me to say, if I'm going to identify as an athlete, then I was a corporate lawyer. I could negotiate with myself better than any. Oh, well, I'm not going to do that today and I'll do double tomorrow, right? Which never happened. That was, for me, it was like, okay, if this is who I want to be, I have to commit to those habits, even when I don't feel like it. And so that's what I tell you, people would start is you make the commitment and you do it. Even I don't ever feel like working out. Oh boy, do I not. But I always start. And so that's what I think it starts with is you make the commitment and you say discipline over motivation. And whatever it is, maybe it's, I'm going to the gym 2 times this week. And you just go. It may not, like I said, it may not be the greatest workout, but you go. And that, what Lee said, that was a big aha moment for me. It's like, this is who I want to be. And these are the commitments I'm going to make. And they're in stone, right? Again, if you go back to how you already define yourself, there's things that you make sure you do no matter what. And so that would be how I would say you start, is you make that commitment to yourself.
Once you've started, I don't want to say how do you stay motivated, because you just really kind of answered that. But at the same time, we do allow the little things to get in the way
Sure.
sometimes. And how do you make yourself put yourself first? That's what I really want to say.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, part of it is setting goals, whatever I mean, they could be little goals, they could be really big goals. Whether it's you want to increase the weight at the gym, or you want to lose 5 pounds, or you want to feel better. I will tell you, most women don't eat enough. I will tell you, of the 10 clients I started with, only one was actually eating enough to support her body. Most of the women were eating around 1,000 calories. These are even women I have 3 women who are 5'7", all over 200 pounds. They were only eating 1,000 calories. The first thing I did is increase the amount they were eating and change the makeup of that food. The other thing is, a lot of women don't eat enough protein. And I will tell you, the thing that was so fulfilling is every single one of them said to me, I feel so much better. And so, again, it's a great question. The question of putting yourself first. Part of that just needs to be a choice. I went through exactly the same thing. I remember when I started this program, I would work out during the lunch hour. And I had someone who reported to me who started sneaking meetings in because I hadn't blocked the time off. And I'll never forget, because I sat there thinking, oh, well, do I tell them we need to move it? Maybe. And then I remember, wait a second, it's 1 hour. I should be able to take 1 hour for myself, which I ended up doing. But I will tell you, it was really hard for me to say, it's okay to put me first. I think part of it is just the practice and the awareness. A lot of this is awareness. But all of those things go together. I agree. It's like, we're not always motivated, but there has to, it's like, what's your why? Why are you doing it? Right? What is it supporting for you? Because it's funny, I'll just tell you, I looked at my workout today and I was just like, ugh. All right, you're just going to get started. I have a new block from my coach, and sometimes I look at the stuff and I go, well, I should be impressed that he thinks I can do this, because it's a challenge. But yeah, it's what's your goal and get started.
I like how you say just get started, because there's a lot of things we don't feel like doing. I mean, not just working out, a lot of things we don't feel like doing. Once you start them, it's like, oh, okay. And then you finish it and you feel a lot better.
Right.
So you mentioned the program. And that you're working with some women now. Exactly. How does your program work? Well,
so the current program I have is one-on-one coaching. We are rolling out group coaching, and then it's going to be through an app, what my app developer called self-serve. But the program right now is, so clients sign up, and they fill out a pretty extensive questionnaire. And then with that, I set up starting macros for them and a workout program. And I have women who've never worked out before, all the way to women who lift pretty heavy weights. And I have women who work out at home, and I have women who work out at the gym. So whatever works for the person, we can work with. And as I said, a lot of these women, because I have them track what they eat for at least 3 days, I prefer 5, but most of them weren't eating enough. So the first thing I do is increase the amount they're eating, but then I also change what they're eating. So usually it's more protein. I break the meals down into 5 separate meals. The biggest meals are around your training, with the whole idea being you're looking to eat to support your activity, to support muscle growth, to support being stronger and fitter and feeling better. And it was just really wonderful, all the way from women who weren't looking to lose any weight but get stronger, to women who have a significant amount of weight to lose. Every single one of them was like, I can't believe how much better I feel. Well, when you actually feed your body and even your brain, right, you have more energy. So that's the process. We meet on a weekly basis. There's also a matter of fact, it's tomorrow. There's a group meeting for the entire group of women, because to me, community is the key. And all of the groups the one-on-one group, the group coaching, and even those who just want to use the app, there is going to be a community element for all of those women. Because I will tell you, for most of us, where we physically live, there are not, in some cases, any people around us near our age group who have made the decision to live this kind of lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So, telling a friend of yours that you hit a PR on your bench press likely would mean nothing to them. But if you have this group who understand, why that's important to you, it's wonderful to have that support. And I will tell you, through my own transformation, I've made friends that are some of my closest friends now that I talk to. I have my lifelong friends I have from high school and elementary school and college. But these women, I mean, a lot of them I talk to almost on a daily basis. We're all going to Sedona together in May to work out and go to the spa. And so that's what the program looks like. Part of why I'm doing the app is I do want it to be available regardless of what someone's financial circumstances are, because it really is a passion and a drive for me to bring this to women 50 plus who, so many who think, particularly once you've gone through menopause, like, oh, this is what my body looks like now, I can't change it. And just to let them know that's not the case. And it's really been very gratifying to see the changes these women have gone through so far. And even just to their own self-confidence.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about macros.
Yes.
I don't know anything about that either.
Okay. Well, I was right there with you. So macronutrients, and it's the idea of rather than counting calories, you count grams of protein, carbs, and fat. And protein, particularly if you're weight training, is what you need to help you build more muscle. I mean, we need it for brain health and all sorts of other things, particularly as we age. Carbs are the carbohydrates. That's what turns into glycogen in your muscles and gives you the strength in the gym. And then fat does all sorts of good stuff for your brain and other parts of your body. And so, the concept of calories in, calories out is not what actually works. It really is how much fat are you eating, how much protein, how many carbs. And that was very eye-opening for me. I had personally been moving towards a vegan diet when I started. And you could do this on a vegan diet. It just takes a little more planning. And I will tell you again, with this first group of clients, I increased the amount they were eating, in some cases by 50%, but changed the makeup of what they were eating. And they all lost weight, every single one of them. And felt, even more important, felt better because they were actually fueling their body. So it's a really different way of thinking about food and what you put in your body and why you're putting it in your body.
It is a different way of thinking about it because, like you said, you yo-yo diet or you go through different types of diets. And like right now, I'm trying to lose weight. So I'm focusing not at all on protein. I'm trying to put more of those vegetables and all of those things on my plate. And I'm not getting anywhere, I have to say. And I'm being honest. It's not like I'm really doing any hardcore exercising either. So, but yeah, I feel like what you just described, I'm doing the opposite.
Most women do. And I will tell you, so two of the gals that are working with me, one has a shoulder injury, so she can't do any upper body workout. And then another gal, the first week, she stepped off the curb wrong and wrenched her knee. And so she couldn't do any lower body exercise, including she couldn't do any cardio, and she couldn't do steps. But they stayed on their macros. They both have lost weight. I mean, the exercise is important, but 90% of weight loss is determined in the kitchen, and it's determined by what you put in your mouth. So I would tell you to focus on protein at every meal. And, ideally around like 30 grams of protein at every meal. The more complex carbs, like if you like bread or rice or whatever, would be earlier in the day. And if you do, even without working out, and then like my last meal of the day is a big salad every single night. The protein may change a little bit, but it's a big salad. And with some of those changes, I think even without the working out, you could see some differences.
Yeah, that is true because I have been trying to do my heaviest meal in the morning or my biggest meal, largest meal in the morning, and in the evening, just something. But I do think I'm also not eating enough
Just get,
because,
yeah.
yeah, I am not eating enough because I'm trying not to eat too much, but it's just what I'm doing is not working. Let's just say that.
I totally get it. Like I said, did that for a really long time. So, and even things like walking, I think is highly underrated. It's, that I wish I could remember what NEAT stands for, but it's the concept of just keeping your body in motion. I had spent 40 years as a corporate lawyer. I sat a lot, and just getting up and walking around, once an hour, in a half an hour walk in the morning and half an hour walk in the evening. All of those kinds of things make a difference. The other thing that shouldn't be underrated is sleep. I don't know how your sleep is. I will tell you, after I went through menopause, I had insomnia for 10 years. I mean, I tried everything until I finally saw a functional medicine doctor when I moved here to Maui. And she did a bunch of tests and she put me on bioidentical progesterone, which was life-changing for me, which was another thing that really, again, there's more talk around that now around menopause and the change in our hormones. Not so much 18 years ago when I went through menopause. So, but sleep can't be underrated either. Just the importance of it to support your body regenerating. That's when your muscles grow and all of that. But yeah, I was going to say you probably aren't eating enough.
No, I'm not. I'm not. But let's talk about, like you mentioned 40 years as a corporate lawyer. So
Yes.
this is kind of a new and second career for you. How
Correct.
does that feel? And how are you managing it? Being in midlife, you're starting something brand new.
Yeah.
How are you managing it? I see you're managing it well, but just
Thank
talk about the steps in managing it.
Um, it is a big change, and I was laughing about that. My husband retired, let's see, the year before, about 3.5 years ago. I think it'll be 4 years in July. And be very honestly, sometimes I, look at him sitting on the lanai reading a book, and I'm running around a little bit like a chicken without my head on. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. I do have to say, I'm a bit of a control freak, and so sometimes I feel like things should get done faster than they do. But I think I've gone through enough experience in my life to just take a deep breath and say, okay, get a grip. I'm a queen of lists. I love lists. I love planning. So from that point of view, I think all of my experience and having this as a second career has been helpful, that I know enough to like grab a hold of myself and say, okay, enough. What are you going to get done today? I think a lot of what I did in my prior career has been helpful in terms of I was a business corporate lawyer, so I understand contracts and setting up an entity. And I managed, my last job, I was also the vice president of administration, which was an interesting experience in addition to general counsel. So I oversaw like HR and IT and finance. And so I got good at kind of project management. And so I've been able to use some of those skills over here. But this is way more fun. I got to tell you, it's way more fun. And yeah, I mean, and it's so gratifying. It's not that I didn't enjoy my prior career, but being able to help women improve their lives and see that they just feel better and are happier. There's really nothing better than that. And part of it is my way to pay it forward to Joan McDonald, who was, generous enough to put her story out there and her before pictures. That was something I never thought I would do, is put my before pictures out there. And the one thing I will say about those, it's really interesting. It's one of the things I tell my client about why I have them do check-in photos and why it's in a two-piece bathing suit. because until I took those, and of course I didn't own a 2-piece bathing suit. I had to go order one from Amazon to do my check-in pictures. It's amazing how you can look in the mirror and not really see yourself. Because I was shocked when I looked at those pictures that was what I looked like at that point. Because I think I got really good at just looking at my face.
I was going to say that. I think you spend a lot of time avoiding looking at the rest of yourself, because I do.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Really. And so, because I didn't know when I first signed up that was part of it. And had I known, I don't know if I would have signed up. So maybe that was the universe looking after me. But I do, again, having gone through it, I can have the conversation with clients or people interested to say, look, those are your pictures. You don't have to do anything with them. But I will tell you, you will forget where you started if you don't have those pictures. Because if I didn't have them, granted, it's been 3.5 years for me, I'm not sure I would remember that's where because again, I didn't really look at myself in the mirror, and I certainly didn't take any pictures. I was the queen of hiding behind people and being the one to take the pictures and all of that. Yeah. So, I think that's all part of it. But yeah, it's really gratifying. I'm so grateful to be in a position where I can do this at this point in my life.
So for those thinking about pursuing a second career or an additional, career hobby type thing, what advice you have for them?
Well, one I would say is go for it. I mean, it's funny. I've said this. One of my favorite sayings is you never know unless you ask. But you try to do something different. What's the worst thing that happens? You fall on your face, you learn some lessons, and you try it a little bit different next time. Yes, there's fear of failure, but to me, there's even more fear of not trying.
Exactly.
And I would just say, so do some research, do some planning, but I think most of us underestimate our abilities. And yeah, there is the fear of failure, but no guts, no glory. I will tell you, one of my last favorite sayings is, again, particularly at this age group, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You reach an age where you're more settled in your career, in your life, and things become pretty comfortable, and you don't generally push yourself outside your comfort zone. But that's where some of the greatest experiences can be. So, wow. Right?
That's really good advice. Exactly. Because every day I'm learning something, and every day I'm just like shocked that I've even attempted to learn to do this, Yes. So lastly, besides the advice, give some fitness. We've talked a lot about the fitness as far as like the protein, all of that. You mentioned, I know you do a lot of heavy lifting. Let's talk a little bit about why heavy lifting and how to heavy lift.
Okay. So, and the key to heavy lifting is heavy lifting for you, whoever you are, because what's heavy to me, I have friends that like use my heavy weights as warm-up weights. So it doesn't matter if it's heavy for them. It needs to be heavy for me or for you, because that's where muscle hypertrophy comes from. That's what it takes to stress your muscles to the point that you get these little micro tears, which is what eating the protein does. It goes in and allows the muscles to repair that and make the muscle bigger and stronger. And that's the whole goal is, we want to be able to lift our own bags of groceries. We want to be able to get up off the ground, throw our grandkids around, do whatever we want to do as we continue to age. And so that's the reason for the heavy lifting. I think a lot of women are under the impression of, you just do more reps, just do more repetitions of an exercise as opposed to making the exercise go up. There, I think, is this old idea about women getting bulky. I wish I could get bulky. It's really hard for women of any age, but again, particularly as you get older, to put on muscle. You can work hard and you'd be lucky to add 1 to 3 pounds of muscle a year. So that's the reason for the heavy lifting, to strengthen your muscles and grow your muscles. If you're just doing, 20 reps of an exercise, that's really not going to do anything for you per se in terms of helping you be stronger and fitter as you age.
One other thing, you mentioned the heavy, we talked about the heavy lifting in terms of if somebody has limited time, that sort of thing. If they were to choose between heavy lifting and cardio, I don't know if this is a good question to ask.
Great question.
But like, what do you choose?
You choose lifting. You absolutely choose lifting. More muscle burns more calories than fat. The more muscle you have, the more your body burns just to keep you alive. Cardio has its place, but weight training, heavy weight training should be if you have limited time, go for the weights every single time.
I'm going to be honest as to why I asked that question. I asked it because my husband is always telling me, go lift weights, lift weights, lift weights. And I'm like, okay, yeah, nah, but I asked because I'm like, okay, is that more important? I have to say, maybe he was right on this one.
He might have been right. Yes, he might have been right on that one.
Well, Ilene, it's been great having you. If you could tell us how to get in touch with you, I'm going to put it in the description anyway. But just, tell us how to get in touch with you. If somebody wants to join Silver and Strong, listen to the podcast.
Sure. Yeah, you can find all of the information on my website, which is silverandstrong.com. You can email me at Ilene, Ilene, at silverandstrong.com. I'm also on Instagram, same thing, Silver and Strong. And I'm happy to answer questions. If you're interested in the program, there's a page on coaching. The podcast links are there as well. We have the second so the podcast is new. It just started in January. The second one is on macronutrition. So if you want to learn more about macros, my guest, Sabine Richard, who's a dear friend of mine, is a macro coach. She just coaches macros, not the weight training. And we go through the whole process of what are macros, how to set your macros. And I think it's a really informative podcast. I'll just say the next one that's coming is on powerlifting. I have two friends who, one is 64, one is 58, who are going to do powerlifting competitions this year. One for the first time. The youngster, the 58-year-old, this is her third. She set Canadian national records last year at 57 in powerlifting. So she's a beast, I will tell you. And she'd never done it before. So that's what's to come next.
Well, wow, that sounds great. Thank you so much for being here. This has been enlightening. And I'm sure my audience will get a lot out of it because I know even I'm thinking now, what's for dinner? You know what I mean? In terms of how I'm going to put my meal together. But I want to listen more. I'll listen to your podcast on the macros too, because I want to know more about that. Again, thank you for being a guest. This has been awesome.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
You're listening to the Mature Allure Podcast. I'm your host, Sherri O. If you have a topic in mind that you'd like us to cover on Mature Allure, drop us a note in the comments or share it with us on one of our social media channels. Until the next time, remember, self-love is the key to unlocking the radiant allure that shines from within.